welcome to the fourth meetup of GCC, Grid Coaches Community. Today we're extremely excited to introduce our new members who will shortly be sharing what they're doing and the wonderful work they've been doing for so long. And we are recording this session for all the members who are unable to attend, especially Shadi, Trevor, and Samina might or might not make it. So as each member really matters to us and is integral to the whole community. So we record the sessions and send them over through email to whoever is unable to join. So Marine is here as well after a long time. Hello, Marine.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I see so many people here.
So
sorry, I
have
been part of the last two meetings, and I will mostly be silent today. As you can see, I've lost my voice. But I will pitch in whenever I can.
So we'll start with the introductions now, then Paula will do her keynote, and then we have this exciting announcement. Oh, Neil's here as well. Just lost him. Will he be here in a while? So this exciting announcement towards the end, which I'll share a little about, and then Zoo will continue. So let's start with Zakia first. She is one of our newest members, and then we'll go on to Amia. So Zakia, please share.
Hello, everybody. So I am a conscious parent coach and a trauma healer. So how did I start into my journey is 4 years back, I got PTSD, and that's where I started volunteering in a couple of NGOs. And, I got to know about coaching. So I had done my minors in child psychology. So I was already doing a lot of research and, helping with children. But then I didn't know about coaching. And that's when I started discovering about coaching, and I went into conscious parenting. And from there, the journey begins. Now I mostly work with parents and, healing their traumas, their inner child, as well as helping them on the pathway of conscious parenting. Who's my kid? Yeah. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Zakia. We're so honored to have you and as a part of the Grid Coaches community, and we hope that we can add value to you as well. And now we move on to Omnia. Omnia, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Omnia Osama, and my journey started. I think most of our journey started with us first in the first place, and then we went on to help others. And it was the same for me. I was unhappy for a very long time, and I didn't know that I suffered from trauma, and I used to have severe panic attacks, and I don't know if I was depressed or not. I never went to a therapist, but I was very sad. Nothing made me happy. I was at some point I couldn't get out of bed, and I started questioning, why do I live, and life is pointless, and you know the whole story. So at some point I said that I cannot live like this anymore. I want to be happy. I want to know the meaning of happiness, because I've been so unhappy for a very long time. So I started working on myself. First, I started reading so many books, trying out so many things. But the thing that helped me the most, like I told Khadija when we first met, was mindfulness and becoming aware of my emotions, because I've been running away from them, trying to escape and distract myself for a very long time. But when I started practicing mindfulness, I realized that the first step to healing is becoming aware of our problems in the first place, and facing our emotions instead of running away from them, embracing them, acknowledging that they are there. And after that, I tried yoga, and meditation, of course, was a huge part in my life as well. then I realized that this is what I want to do. I want to help others in their journeys with healing from stress and anxiety and learning how to cope with their difficult emotions, the impact of thoughts on the emotions and vice versa and everything. So I took it a step further and started taking the life coaching certificates and courses and learning first. And then I went on to help other people heal and transform and change their lives. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're so right. It all begins with us, I think. And then we move on and see how we can benefit others. So we have Claudia here, who has been part of the community for a long time, but I think there's been no formal introduction. So Claudia, would you like to share more about where you are, what you're doing with the other members?
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry, I am Brazilian, but I'm living in Bangkok, Thailand for about 13 years now. I am a professional coach, PCC from ICF for about 5 years now. And I've been specializing myself for transformational coaching and leadership coaching. Okay, since basically 2.5 years, I'm focused more on the leadership coaching side. So I've been working for companies for basically 22 years of my life, and as well I decided to apply all the knowledge that I had to the coaching work that I'm doing now to support clients along the way. I'm with Grit, I think almost since the beginning. No, Khadija, I think was not so before I joined it that you started, and you're doing an incredible job. So thank you so much for everything you've been doing so far. Grit is growing, and it's really beautiful to see how the processes are, how the process is happening here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being one of the initial supporters and being there at every step. And for all the encouragement. So we have Kuratulen here. She likes to be called Anne, so we'll call her Anne. She's in UAE, Dubai. And Kuratulen, please share more about your work and where you are at your journey.
Thank you so much, Khatija. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kurutalan, and like Khatija mentioned, I like being called Anne. It's just that the pronunciation just, does not gel in very well with everybody. So I like to keep it the last part of my name. So I'm basically a counseling psychologist, and the journey has been relatively new still. So I just started my coaching journey from Jan, like in a serious, proper way, let's say. I'm on my PCC journey as well, working towards completing my hours somewhere still in the start, although, but yeah, let's see how things move. Being an AI practitioner and an NLP practitioner, my focus is mainly on emotions. So not really narrowed down my niche still, but yes, mostly it will be on the mindset and the relationship part, because there's a vibe. So I feel I have that vibe which touches the emotions very well, and hence that will be my niche, and is also for the time being as well. So yeah, looking forward to it, and thanks Khatija for including me as a part of this group. It sounds like a really, really great initiative, and I'm really looking forward to get to know all of the amazing people that are part of this journey.
Thank you, Anne. We're blessed to have you with us. And there's one more senior member who has his picture here, Mr. Neil Steeman. He's been here for quite some time and been contributing as well, but there's been no formal introduction. Niels, so please share with us, the rest of us, all the wonderful work you're doing, and with sleep and with health. It's amazing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, some people for you, I think. I hope that everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, my name is Niels. I'm actually a colleague of Claudia in the sunny city of Bangkok, Thailand. I've been here right now for close to 25 years. My life has changed actually from a very busy executive, and I have transformed myself into a health coach, where my specialties are nutrition, sleep, exercise. I'm a personal fitness trainer, and I am also moving towards the performance and energy management side of the coaching. Claudia has been so kind enough to introduce me to Kadia and the GRID team. Ever since then, I really enjoyed the posts throughout the WhatsApp chats and whatever you post, of course, on the website. I really like to share my knowledge and tips through my blog post, and you can find quite a few ones on the GRID website. And I'm looking forward to see what this meeting is all about. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Niels. So I think we're done with all the introductions, and we can now move on to Paula's keynote, which is going to be very insightful. I've been very much looking forward to it. Paula, I have to say, is really good with what she does, because I've had the pleasure of having a session with her. So Paula, would you like to take the floor?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you very much for being here today, and thank you, Khadija, for the opportunity to talk to everyone. For those who don't know me, I am Paula de Roeper. I live in the South Island of New Zealand, just outside Christchurch, which is the biggest city in the South Island. Not that New Zealand has many cities anyway, but I'm originally from the UK, of course, as you can probably tell by my accent. And I'm talking today about conscious communication, which I'm really passionate about. I've worked in communications, both for the corporate companies, agencies, higher education, for many years, more years than I care to remember, really. During that time, I witnessed and was on the receiving end of careless, judgmental, negative communication. And I thought there must be a better way of doing this. So over time as well, I've trained as a intuitive Pasha therapist, which is a very feelings-based form of counseling. And I've amalgamated my learning and experience in that area with my communication experience. And I'm sort of developing and have developed and I'm developing this conscious communication approach. I've also looked into the books by Dr. Marshall B. Rosenberg in America. He developed a communication system, or for want of a better word, called non-violent communication. So all of this works in together. And so what I want to talk to you today about is giving you a little bit of a glimpse as to what I work with, and it doesn't go full into the depth, but it'll give you a bit of an overview of where I'm coming from. So it's about empathy, it's about compassion, it's about self-awareness and awareness of others. So let's get into it. I've got, I'll share my screen. Oh. Sorry, Khadija, you've disabled share screen at your end. You have to give me permission to share screen. Yes. You've done that? Okay. Yes. Sure thing. Okay. So, communication. Is it working? Actually, there's a problem. We've got a problem with communication. It's really important to understand whether there is a problem or not in the organizations we work in. And invariably there is a problem. In a worldwide, we've got, we're lost in a worldwide culture of separatism that has been created through cultures that our culture of social media, for example. And of course, COVID has caused us to all start working online and through Zoom, which is a very useful tool, obviously, because we wouldn't be talking here tonight if it wasn't. But overall, we are working with communication that is disjointed. We're not in the realm of, as often as we'd like to be, of really open conversing with one another, where you can share body language and gestures and tone of voice in a more a real and feeling the energy of someone else right in front of you. So we're looking to I'm drawing your attention really to the fact that it's endemic in a lot of professions, and cultures and businesses, that regardless of anyone's ability to do their role, that a flippant and often missing the point communication is happening. So it's overlooked. We often overlook our communication because we're in a hurry or because we want to get our needs met, and so we override. There's often a case of overriding the other person. The importance of good communication, especially if I take an example where I work in a medical environment, patient-doctor communication is something that is always being reviewed, because often the doctors, they're young doctors, they're overworked, they don't have time to really stop and relate to the patient who's sitting very vulnerably in the hospital bed. And they are looking to just quickly tell the patient, well, you've got this and this wrong with you, take this medication, the nurse is going to deliver it, I'm off to the next patient. And I've been talking with them about how to really focus in on and really getting to know that patient. And it only takes a few minutes. It doesn't mean that you have to be, sorry, my throat is really croaky. I'm getting over COVID, believe it or not. So excuse me for choking away here. That they will sit, and teaching them to slow down basically and be present. It's about looking at that person as equal to yourself, not less than or not even better than, and to respect where they're from. So in New Zealand, we have, for example, the Maori culture, and Pacifica, people from the Pacific Islands, who find it very difficult to communicate with doctors because they just clam up, really. And so in terms of really looking at, for these young doctors to understand cultural difference and to really become more aware of what is going on with their patients, no matter what culture they are from, and really looking at how they feel as well. So it comes back to feelings, the ownership of an understanding of your own feelings and what is going on with that patient or with that person in the office. It's always something more going on with those people than what is being presented. So an argument might ensue in the office. It's not about that argument 9 times out of 10. People are coming to work with a whole raft of things going on in the background of their lives. We don't just leave our lives on the doorstep of the work environment. And so I'm trying to, my intention is to bring a heart-centered communication so that people aren't reacting to the interactions, but they're responding. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. what is successful communication to you? Maybe we could have a quick discussion about that. Has anyone got any thoughts on what successful communication is?
In my opinion, it would be definitely where, I can make my meaning very clear to the person who I'm talking to. Like if they get exactly, what I am trying to put through. So that is an effective communication for me.
Yeah, great. Has anyone else got any comments?
For me, because I deal with kids, so for me, communication is a two-way street. So I put my thing forward, and I also understand what it's from both the sides. So for me, that is very essential. That when I communicate, I am there in their shoes, and I'm here. So for me, that's communication.
That's perfect. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Fantastic.
For me, I guess the openness or the confidence which you give to the person who is communicating with you is more essential to have a kind of a discussion with them or have a kind of clarity in future as well.
Yes, that's right. Being present is really important, and listening, isn't it? Actively listening. And that brings me on to my next slide here.
Can I add something here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, communication would be, multifaceted. So not only the words that you speak, but, the synergy of emotions, the synergy of body language.
Yes.
Yeah, amongst other things.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. So active listening. And we're looking briefly at on active vs passive. Passive listening, unfocused, one-way communication. So a communication that you're paying lip service perhaps to the person who's trying to communicate with you. You may be just not really listening at all, thinking about something else, or giving the impression of listening, but thinking about something else. This sort of communication really falls short because the person actually does feel and know when they're not being listened to. When we're present, when we're really present and actively listening, we're really paying attention. We show we're listening through nodding, smiling, agreeing, acknowledging. And active also, you're giving feedback. So you might say, oh, I hear you're saying, I hear that you're angry about the fact that your colleague has done something that you don't agree with, something like that. So it's really acknowledging, but it's not saying, but it's actually acknowledging the feeling as well that you're picking up on. That's actually very important, to acknowledge the feelings. For example, if someone is expressing anger or frustration, empathy can help acknowledge and diffuse their emotion. So empathy happens when we are very present. Do you understand the difference between compassion and empathy? Does everyone understand what empathy is? Empathy is we really actively get alongside someone and can really feel and understand and appreciate what they're going through, and stand beside them with an energy of openness and support. Compassion is also a feeling of distress. You actually really do get into feeling that distress of that person. So it's important to respond appropriately. This can be easier said than done. Sometimes when a person is talking about what a person is talking about can trigger a reaction in us. And the reaction, as I was saying earlier, V's response, we don't want to have a reaction, we want to aim for response. Because if you are, so if you're reacting, you're getting angry, you're getting, then when you're angry, you're not listening, and the whole thing spirals downwards. So choosing to respond to what a person is saying is where we're at. And so what I'd like to really do right now in this moment is to ask you all to just take a breath in, breathe into your heart. So that's, in your sternum area, just take a breath, deep breath, and really focus from your mind down into your heart. How does that feel? What happens? What happens to you when you do that? Do you feel yourself relaxing? Do you feel yourself taking, it might take a few breaths for you to do this if you haven't really consciously done that before. Or do you feel yourself sinking into your body and relaxing? It helps.
There's some sort of a clarity.
That's right, perfect. When we breathe into our heart and relax into our heart, we connect to ourselves on a much deeper level, and that provides clarity. It slows things down, it makes us present. And from that space, we can really respond with respect and clarity to the person in front of us. So this is really consciously breathing and consciously communicating. So reaction, on the other hand, creates conflict, and response creates openness and opportunity and an opportunity for resolution and the expansion of a conversation. So it doesn't shut down a conversation, unlike response. Why do you think a person may react rather than respond? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I know the brain, it stops, it shuts down, the thinking brain shuts down, and the feeling brain is on. So people, kids, they start reacting instead of responding.
Yeah, perfect. And people who are reacting are often doing so because they don't feel heard, they don't feel valued, and they don't feel respected. So it's important to come alongside people, make sure they know that they're heard, make sure they feel valued, make sure they feel respected. And that is by being very present and it's quite simple. Just be present, just listen, just acknowledge, and also acknowledge what they're feeling. So when you pick up on whatever they're expressing, even if they're not expressing what they feel, feedback to them about how I can hear that you're angry. I can hear that this is making you angry because da-da-da-da has happened. And then after the discussion, after some discussion on this, the person will open up more and more about, yeah, I'm angry about this because, sorry, Khadija?
Yes, sorry, going back to
I can't hear you very well. Can everyone else hear Khadija? I can't hear you very well.
Can you
That's
hear me
okay.
now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So going back to the reaction and the response, I feel that when you're really overwhelmed with emotions, you just don't have that kind of control and you tend to react. whereas something, which hasn't bothered you as much, that gives you more time to respond, take your time and then respond. But when we're overwhelmed and we're overcome with strong emotions, how do we curtail that tendency to react?
First of all, acknowledge to yourself what you're feeling. So slow down in the moment. Really take that breath into your body and slow down. Even if the other person is going ma, 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 at you, come back to yourself, slow down, go inward. And that will help you to steady yourself and to get clearer about how you're going to respond. So it's a conscious change of gear, really. It's very easy to get drawn into those arguments when you are overwhelmed, and especially, bottom line is, when you feel your needs are not getting met. So needs are very, very important, a person's needs. It's important to acknowledge what your own needs are, and then also to find out and acknowledge what the other person's needs. Because anger and arguments, at the bottom of any argument is a need. Someone is worried about something not happening, they're going to miss out, they're not going to meet a deadline, they're worried even in one's personal life. This all applies of course, communication in our intimate relationships is absolutely paramount for a successful relationship. So for both partners to come forward and say, actually, I'm getting angry because I'm worried that we're not going to be able to pay the bills this month, or I'm worried that I really wanted that new car and we can't do that now, and it makes me angry. Or, it might be that you've come forward and said, I want to go on a trip somewhere or other, or I've been invited on a trip somewhere, or I need to go on a business trip somewhere, and your partner is then getting all upset about that because he or she has to stay home and run the household without you being there, and they're worried about how they're going to do that. So it's always something else underneath. When these conversations get out of hand, it's because the need is not being heard or appreciated or acknowledged. And once the feelings are acknowledged, once the need is being acknowledged, then we can take some positive action to support the other person, and they can also support you. Does that make sense? Okay, so right, on my notes, I've got notes here somewhere. I'm just going to go on to talk a bit more about empathy. Body language, as we said, obviously is about showing that you're listening. Positive feedback. This is one of the things you could say in these sticky situations. I understand you're angry or hurt because I forgot our anniversary or something. This isn't just silly examples. I like your enthusiasm for this idea. Tell me more, because it diffuses. So someone could come marching and go, why didn't I've got an idea and nobody listens to my idea and da 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 da. And you can just say, I really like those ideas. Can you tell me more about it? Whether you want to take them on is another thing altogether. It's about giving people airtime and acknowledgement. It must have been very disappointing to have missed out on the grant award, where if people are being given grants, like that's in the medical world, they have to apply for grant funding and things like that, and people are getting really down and depressed about that if they don't get it. So it's just acknowledging, looking for sentences that really acknowledge how someone feels. So reaction creates conflict. If we can try to avoid that reaction in the first place, then it really is obviously very helpful. response creates openness and expansion of conversation, as we were saying before. Have you got examples in your own lives that you could think of where you may have reacted, like Khadija and Zach have already mentioned? Is there anyone else who'd like to say anything about that?
Paula, I've got a question. Is reaction always is it always going to be negative? So you say creates conflict, is always going to be that, or is it depends on the state of mind of the communication?
Reaction usually comes from a negative energy. What we're trying to do is respond.
Okay, gotcha.
So the difference is response vs reaction. Reaction is often based in fear that a need isn't going to be met, a fear they're not going to be heard, a fear they're going to be overlooked in some way. Whereas response is about saying, hey, I hear you, and let's talk about this in a calm way, an open way, and an acknowledging and equal way.
Right. Okay.
Does that
Cool.
make sense?
Yeah, totally. So I guess from an observer's point of view, it'll be. This sounds really crazy. It depends on the reaction. Is either it's a reaction or a response. Whereas the reaction is the doing versus the. Yeah, I get what you mean. The descriptive.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, Prajesh. Exactly right. Yeah. So
Awesome,
conscious communication the aim of conscious communication is to take away the reaction and conflict, and what this guy Marshall Rosenberg talked about, which he named as violent communication, and he's tried to promote non-violent communication. This is about trying to bring peace to the world, to be honest. It's about a heart-centered approach to communication that has far-reaching positive results that can really enhance a workplace and a home environment through using the same tactics, if you like, or skills. But they are skills that we have to sort of genuinely learn, really, and become aware of. They don't just happen.
Can I add something?
Yes.
So, in my parenting, we get to study a lot about the non-violent communication and how it helps kids. How the relationship has shifted just by using communication. I mean, this is what we work on, communication. Just using this tool, parenting I have seen changes with my client, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Just this one single tool, we use it and things have shifted. This tool is one of the best tools in parenting.
Yes. It's absolutely across the board with any human interaction in any environment. The awareness of really listening, not reacting, and using acknowledgement of feelings, and also
naming the feelings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, naming the feelings and
validating.
And validating them. Yes, exactly. And also to allow space for that person to accept what they feel and allow it. When people are really in touch with what they're feeling, they often become quite tearful. Because when it's a strong feeling, it's often, especially like with children getting frustrated, they can, any, not just children, across the board, people can become quite emotional with the feeling. And emotion, from where I've been trained, is emotion, energy in motion, whereas the feeling triggers the emotion. And I know several of you here are working with emotion in your work. And when you feel, you heal. So when you allow yourself to feel what is going on inside and talk about that feeling, it may lead to tears and things, because that's it moving up through the body. And from there, you gain a lot of clarity, even as a young child. In fact, young children are probably way ahead of most of us on
They
this.
are absolutely there.
Yeah, yeah. So really, it's acknowledgement of feelings, needs, and coming alongside someone to support them and offer some action that is going to turn the situation around. What do you need? That question, what do you need, is incredibly supportive and can really change a situation for the positive. So I've aimed to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what I'm working with and what I'm bringing into workplaces, and not just workplaces, any organization, any group, any family, and on an individual basis as well. It's looking at how to heal things in a very different way, I suppose, from how people have in our environment anyway, over here in New Zealand, how they've done it usually in the past. It is really definitely something that is heart-centered, and that is not a term that is readily accepted in business over here. But I think the tide is turning. I think people are starting to realize that we're more than just we're more than just words. We're feelings, and we are needs, and we are actions. And it makes a huge difference in people's lives. I want to just read you a little poem that is by a lady called Ruth Biebermeyer, and it's titled "Words Are Windows, or They Are Walls." I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you mean to say? Before I rise to my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build that wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows, or are they walls? They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. There are things I need to say, things that mean so much to me. If my words don't make me clear, will you help me to be free? If I seem to put you down, if you felt I didn't care, try to listen through my words to the feelings that we share. I can run workshops on this. This is more of a little overview, but I'm very happy to run a workshop for the group if anyone's interested, either as a group or individually. I'm contactable via the WhatsApp group or on email. So, and I'm very interested to receive your feedback and your views on what I've been talking about, because I know that you're all very expert in your areas, and we kind of dovetail in many areas as well. So just moving, my last slide was just to sum up what that is. It's compassion, empathy, acknowledgement of feelings equals authentic, conscious communication, which is openness, honesty, clarity, respect, and balance. Thank you for listening very attentively, with such presence. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I will stop sharing my screen.
do we have any questions? Thank
Oh,
you so much, Paula. Each time I hear you, it's so intense, and it really leaves me with so much more value. I'm sure everybody else feels the same, right? Wasn't
I
that
loved it,
really
Paula.
intense?
Yes, it was beautiful, Paula. I love it. I love communication. That the whole thing is so needed, especially with doctors. I just relate to it. I wish we have this as a part for, everywhere. This communication is so important, and we have forgotten to be humans. I feel we just speak, and we don't bother to listen, or we don't bother to. I feel the whole humanity part has, gone off, and the only way we can get it back is learning how to communicate. And it's beautiful you're doing this, and I just love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Zach. That really means a lot. I completely agree. Humanity has to get back on track. We've just gone so off the rails. And if we can do this wherever we go, wherever we are, just speaking from our hearts and being present, sums it up, really.
It's so important, because as long as being like online and all this communications, modern communication that we have, although it has made life so easy, but like it's so true. Listening to you was also putting me in that mindset that we have actually lost that that beauty of that conversation, like properly sitting down there and having a word to word with somebody, because and I think that is where lots of effect of proper communication has been lost, because it's all become so digital and so modernized, so that we all find it very easy to just type a message instead of calling somebody or saying the proper thing. But definitely a very good job, Paula, very good. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Can I also add to that? It's awesome hearing Paula speak. For those of you that don't know, Paula and I are colleagues, and this is my first time hearing Paula's other side, which is awesome. But Paula, the reason why I want to speak about the reaction is because, like everyone has said, I think the world has changed because of these bad boys here. Because everything on these bad boys here is a reaction. You go onto Instagram, you do a reaction, and you go onto LinkedIn, you do a reaction, and always the reaction that you have is comes from emotive place, or emotive places where it comes from. And then for the person that's receiving it, depending on where you are in your growth scale, if the lack of a reaction creates a reaction, especially with young people. I work in the young space. If I put up a picture and I don't get a reaction, I'm going to react, and I'm going to go, oh, this person doesn't like me, or I'm not going to be friends with them because of that. So it's a really crazy space that we live in at the moment, where reaction can go two ways. And then, as you said, if we can shift people to go, okay, cool, let's shift away from reaction and think about response, then that understanding will shift the way, hopefully, that we can speak to young people. And I speak about young people because that's the space I work in, and I see this all the time. And if we can foster, hey, let's not react, let's respond with this here. So thank you, Paula, for that awareness, which is why I asked that question about reaction versus response, because it's that's where my headspace was. Thank you.
No, pleasure. But also, Prajesh, just to add that you're absolutely right, that it's so damaging. Social media is so damaging to our young people. Yes, it has its good points, but in terms of whether they've received enough likes or whatever to their post, and it's always fake. They only show, obviously, they're having a good time, and actually they're not even having a good time. They just had a glimpse of a smiley photo. It's also fake, and they also think that, not all of it's fake, but a lot of it is, and so they all are worried that their friends having a better time than they are in life, and they're being left behind. So this reaction thing is so very real and so very powerful for them, those online reactions. Talking to them about the reality of that is a very powerful thing. And you are in this great, amazing driving seat of being able to really tap into that with these young people. You'll be the response mechanism needs to be really nurtured, is what I'm saying, somehow.
Agree.
How I don't know, actually. Maybe Zach, you have an idea. You're working with very young children, or you young or teenagers, or
teenagers and young.
So with the teenagers worldwide, this social media thing is a problem, isn't it?
It is. Everything has its good and bad, right? So, especially if you go, the teenagers, their brain is not functioning yet. So when you call it a reaction, okay, I don't know if scientifically we can still call it a reaction. Because when I work, like when you have toddlers, they're not reacting. They probably are rude. What we feel is rude, but that's not a reaction. That's the way they're expressing things. That's the way they know how to talk, or this is the only way. Again, in teenage years, I wouldn't take that as a reaction. I would hold space for them, and because their brain is not functioning at that time, and they're still in between being an adult and being a kid. So I still don't think so I can use reaction to when teenagers act in a certain way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can respond to them. We can say like, okay, I understand you look like you're frustrated and there's something going on with you. I am here. I am hearing you out. Exactly. If you feel like you want me to hear you out. And you have to ask their consent. You have to wait. And once their thinking brain is on again, you can get back to them. But labeling that teenagers react is something I do not believe in.
I think that Prajesh was referring to the social media reaction tick box, the likes and the...
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what I was referring to. I was referring to, all social media wants a reaction with a smiley face. So it's a reaction of the platform as opposed to a reaction of the other person. A bit like us today, if you go onto a Facebook post or a Instagram reel, whatever, that is in the social media platform. That's a reaction. Yes. Yeah. So that's and then so what I was trying to say is a lack of a reaction on this platform creates a reaction or response from the young person. So even though we don't call it a reaction, it does affect them in some way.
It does. Over here, what we can do is just spread awareness, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Over here, this is just a term used again, and I don't know. Here we have the only thing we can talk about is helping them understand about the whole topic about how we use these reactions, more than that.
And I guess the hard thing is that all of us in this room here, these came in later on in our lives. We didn't grow up with them, whereas a lot of young people are growing up. This is what they've grown up with. So it's a different language that we're working with in a different mindset, which is also hard to navigate for us.
Yes, for them, growing up with this is the only thing they know, and this is the way they talk. And probably again, it's about us, right? Like we feel it's rude or we feel it's reacting, but once they are with the whole group of people in their same age, for them it's okay.
Normalize, exactly.
They're just totally fine with the whole thing, But again, we have to help them understand the real way of communicating.
Totally.
So thank you so much, Paula, and thank you for all the insights from Zach and Rajesh. So we have an announcement to make, and since we're getting a little short on time, we'll do that now. So there's this wonderful collaboration of Grit with Fablux, which is based in Malaysia, as a community partner. And in our last session, which some of you were able to attend and some of you saw the recording of, I did mention to you that what we're doing, what we're trying to do is to reach out to communities, to increase our pool, so all of us benefit, so more coaches can join in, and maybe we can get clients from there. Maybe Grit can get some clients from there for you. Maybe you can collaborate and add value to each other. So that's how we're trying to work. And so this is our first collaboration with Fablux, with the fabulous Zoo. She is a life coach and a personal branding coach. She's based in Malaysia nowadays. And Zoo has been a member for a long time, but silent as some of you. But she's going to be all loud and share all the wonderful things that we have in line. Zoo, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Khadija. So yes, I've been very silent, but here I am. So Khadija and me had a little chat the other day, and we're thinking of ways to get more traction to Grit. And so I was thinking, I have a platform. So I have a magazine called Fablux. It's a lifestyle magazine catering to everything nice and good in life, all the finer things in life, like food, like arts, like mental space, mental health, things like that. So what I'm going to do is that I suggested to Khadija, I proposed this, I'm going to have a column for Fab Grit. That's what we call ourselves, Fablux and Grit, Fab Grit, a column where so backtrack a little bit. So what we're going to do is that firstly, we're going to do a talk show. So since there's a pool of us here, so what we can do is that we can, so Khadija and myself will hand the talk show. We'll take turns to interview you guys. So every week every Friday, there'll be one coach that we interview. The segment will be a very kind of like cool, cozy segment where we chat like with friends over tea or coffee. So we have that kind of setup, and this interview will be turned into a podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this link on Fablux website. So in that way, and then we'll share it across our social media. So that's the first step we want to do to get more traction, to get my readers to look at it. And then when we share it through social media, we'll get more people to watch it as well, to listen to it as well. So that's the first step. The second thing we're looking at of doing is perhaps we can do like an academy, Fab Grit Academy, where we can write our own courses, like if you think Skillshare. So people could come in and pay a minimal amount and then get access to our courses. All of us we specialize in our own segment, our own, expertise. So we could do something like that as well. And then, of course, in the long run, we can look at face-to-face retreats, face-to-face conferences. That will be the main thing I'd love to do. I'm sure you guys like to do that as well, especially after this pandemic, to see people in the flesh, so maybe we can start one in Malaysia first with you guys coming here. We'll see. But so that's the exciting bit. So we'll start with the interview, with the podcast, and we'll take it from there. So how does that sound, guys?
Sounds fantastic to me.
That's what I thought as well. I thought this is going to be great because I have looked at you guys chatting and all that. It's just that it's a busy period for me. I'm running a couple of things and, like everybody else as well. But so I see there's a great synergy amongst you guys. And I think we should utilize that, make use of that to create something for us as well. And the group is growing. Thanks to Khadija. You are amazing. You're very gritty, getting people to join us and all that. So we're expanding. At the same time, maybe we could do something to value add to each one of us as well by doing this. Yeah.
I didn't catch the name of your magazine. How do you?
Fabluck. So I intend to share it now, but there's a slight glitch today. So I'm going to share it in the chat. I think it'll be done within half an hour, 1 hour. The back end guys are working on it now. So I'm going to share in the chat and you guys can take a look. I have an interview segment as well, where I interview experts in their fields. And there's two types of interviews that I do. One is straightforward interview segment where we talk about their business, and one is also their business and also background story, like more of a branding kind of interview.
So had been
yeah, if you like to appear there, just
as well. So she does have her own network as well when it comes to marketing and magazine, and yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, so the magazine started because I was a journalist before, so I wanted it to be like a continuation of that journalistic journey. I don't want it to end, so that's hence the magazine. And yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Very cool. Thank you for offering that.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. I've always been, since my childhood, I always wanted to be interviewed.
Oh, wow.
Looking forward to this one.
That's great. Oh, man, I can't wait. It's got to be great. I mean
this has to be.
Yeah. So, yeah, looking forward to this one very much. Khadija, anything else to add?
Yes, so wonderful. I wish that, Shadi, Trevor, and Samina could also join us, but we will be sharing the recording as well with them. And we hope to highlight all of you and the wonderful work you're doing through Fabric, and hopefully we can all add more value to each other. Sorry, I'm just blathering in between. So Niels has been a bit quiet and I've been watching his expressions. Niels, would you like to add something?
Oh, give me the interview. Let me talk. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
So I would love to go to Malaysia and get a little bit of
yes, that's what I was thinking, that Bangkok and New Zealand are much nearer to Malaysia. So you guys can always, it can be a joint retreat, and maybe people from far off places can join you too, like myself.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be the dream to have all of us together and create something. I mean, Mind Valley started from somewhere, don't they?
Yes, of course.
That's true.
So we've got the right place, Malaysia, to begin with. Thank you so much for attending today, and thank you for the introductions. Thank you, Paula. We learned a lot. I made a lot of notes, by the way. So
thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're most welcome. So till next time, we might have Andrew join us, who has also been a silent member for a long time, by the way, with his profiling tool. That's something unique. You might like to attend that session as well. And have a nice week, rest of the week, and hopefully catch you.
Thank you for the great session, Paula. Thank you, everybody. Thanks. Looking forward to the next session. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you. It's lovely.
Thank you, everybody.